Eric, what do you got for us today, brother?
Well, there's been some talk about the aleph-tav. So, figured that we'd kind of cover quite a scope about that. Take about 15 minutes here. There's been somebody saying that every time you see the word spelled aleph-tav in the scripture, in modern Hebrew, it would be spelled, that's an aleph, and the tav is basically shaped like that. So every time you see this word, they say that it means that it's referring to Jesus Christ. Now the interesting thing about that word is that it's the fourth word that appears in the scripture in the book of Genesis. What it says in Hebrew is Bereshit, bara, Elohim, that's three words, aleph-tav. It's pronounced et, which sounds like it's spelled et. Then it says Hashemayim va'et haaretz, which would be the last three words. So the total of 7 words. This is the center of the 7, which is the fourth word. This is one word that's never translated from Hebrew into any other language. Now, that's not entirely true, but it's generally true in that this word aleph-tav points to the direct object of the action of the verb. From what I understand about the way that Hebrew works is that it's similar in English to putting quotation marks around something. You don't pronounce it, but they're there to say, oh, this is what the person really said. So the quotation marks around a phrase or a word points to exactly what it's in reference to the person said. The aleph-tav in Hebrew isn't translated because it's not really a word. It points to what the action is about. Now, that being said, for somebody to say, well, every time you see the word aleph-tav, it refers to Jesus Christ, or that it refers to Yeshua being the Messiah, that's a bit of speculation. Now, where this comes from is that, like I say, this word aleph-tav is never translated, but there is a word spelled aleph-tav, and it's the word that, according to Ernest Klein's Etymological Dictionary, published by Carta Jerusalem, that we've mentioned before, it means a plowshare. Now, I'm studying Paleo Hebrew, so we're going to write things in Paleo. So the Paleo Hebrew aleph-tav would look like that, kind of an upside down A and then the X shape. Shorthand, sometimes I refer to it as aleph-tav. Aleph and tav combined together. There's a reason for that. But first of all, there's different uses of the aleph-tav. Aleph-tav just by itself in the scripture. Then you've got aleph-tav with a hyphen, and then there's this other word that it's in reference to here, whatever that word might be. As in the first verse, aleph-tav, the heavens, and et hyphen haaretz. So Bill Sanford has made a Bible called the Aleph-Tav Bible, where every time aleph-tav appears, he has it written in modern Hebrew, and also he has another version of it in the Paleo Hebrew. There's also a book I recently saw called Sefer Aleph-Tav, where I believe they've done the same thing. It's a pretty thick volume, weighs about 6 pounds. It's recently published if anybody's interested. But if you write aleph-tav hey, it's translated as the word you, Y-O-U. If you write the word aleph-tav yod, it's translated as the word ethical in the Bible, in the Etymological Dictionary, excuse me. And if you write the word aleph-vav tav, you might pronounce that as oat or oath, O-A-T-H, because the tav can sound like a T or a T-H. And literally what that word means is a sign, a signal, a symbol. It also means to consent or agree, and it's also a letter of the aleph-bet. A letter of the aleph-bet is also the same word for oath, which means to consent or agree. Now, if you spell the word aleph-yod-tav, That means to spell a word. So, if aleph-tav is a cutting instrument, or a plowshare, a cutting is also a ketubah, is kaf, tav, vav, bet. Ketub is literally to, as it were, inscribe or cut a writing of a contract. It's referred to as a marriage proposal or marriage contract, prenuptial agreement, a ketubah. Might even have a hey at the end. There's things about grammar that I might not be accurate about here, but I'm trying to talk about the significance of what aleph-tav means. So we're going to stick to this. If you write the word aleph-tav with a yod, hey, it basically means you, or to come, or something which has arrived. Now the other interesting thing about that is you write the word bet aleph, it means arrived or subsequently coming, but also if you write the word for tav aleph, here, tav aleph is to come, or to put something in a cell or a compartment or a box, like a theater box. What I'm saying is that there's a bunch of similarities here. The other interesting thing about the aleph in Paleo is that it's drawn kind of like an ox head. Like there's his nose, and there might be his ears and his horns, his eyeballs. That's where we get the letter A shape. A, and then it turned Latin and English turned upside down in Greek to the letter A. But the other interesting thing about that is that the word spelled tav aleph-vav, I believe it is. Excuse me, tav aleph-vav would be buffalo. So what I'm trying to show you is the relationships between aleph and tav are very similar. Whether it's aleph-tav or tav aleph, meaning to arrive, and an ox head being an aleph, and the word spelled tau, meaning buffalo. The other interesting thing about the tav, as a shape, at the end of a contract, or it's a mark or a sign when you've come to the end of something. When people say aleph and tav, it sounds like they're saying A-L-E-P-H or A-L-E-F, aleph. The F and the PH is a phonetic English thing. It's the same thing in Hebrew, which is aleph, lamed, pei. And the word tav, T-A-V, some people write as T-A-W or T-A-U, ta, or tau, which is why I said that also means buffalo, which is very similar to the aleph. So in showing you the difference between the aleph and the vav, I'll now show you the way that I regard the aleph-tav as per the Scripture. What does the aleph-tav really mean? In Ezekiel 22, verse 14, it says, I am Yahweh, I have spoken, and I shall carry it out. In Jeremiah 31, basically, looking for it here, sorry about the delay. It says, they will no longer teach each man his fellow, each man his brother, saying, know Yahweh, for all of them will know me, from their smallest to their greatest. That word me is spelled aleph, vav, tav, yod. As we discussed before, a moment ago, this aleph, vav, tav, yod, that's OT, is translated as me. They'll all know me. However, yod is a suffix, basically means my, and the word there is ot, which means oath. So where it's translated, they will all know me, the other way to read that, they will all know my oath. And remember, the word oath, aleph, vav, tav, or ot, is a consent or agreement. It's also a letter of the aleph-bet. So when Yahweh is saying they will all know me, that word also means they will all know my oath by each letter of the aleph-bet. That's one way to read it. Another verse here. Isaiah 55:11. So shall be my word that emanates from my mouth. It will not return to me unfulfilled, unless it will have accomplished what I desired and brought success where I sent it. There's another verse here. Isaiah 14:24. Yahweh Zavot has sworn, saying, surely as I have conceived, so shall it come about. As I have devised, so shall it be established. Here's the point. I was reading that one day and realized these words that I just read to you, Yahweh had a plan, that he determined something. That's having an aleph. And he set it into motion, and it was not going to stop until it taved. So the plan and the purpose is the aleph, and the accomplishment of the plan is the tav. There are some people out there that may disagree with me, but just so you know, that's what this particular study is about the meaning of the aleph and tav. That Yahweh had a plan, and he's going to do the plan until it's accomplished and fulfilled, and then it comes to its end. And it's all about this. Jeremiah 3, verse 13. Or go back to verse 12. It says, go and proclaim these words toward the north. Well, the word north is Zephon, as in Zephaniah, and it also means hidden and secret. So it's not just north, it's hidden and secret. It says, return, O wayward Israel, Nam Yahweh, word of Yahweh. I will not cast down my anger upon you, for I am the beneficent one, the one who benefits you. Nam Yahweh. And I will not bear a grudge forever. But you must recognize your sin, that you have rebelled against Yahweh your Elohim, and that you have spread out your ways to seek strange gods under every leafy tree, and you did not heed my voice. Nam Yahweh. Every time that word Nam Yahweh, it means the word of Yahweh. This is what he has declared. N-A-M, or Nun Aleph Mem. Return, O wayward sons, the word of Yahweh, for I shall be your master. I shall take you, one from a city, two from a family, and I shall bring you to Zion. Now that word Zion, or Zion, Zadi Yod Vav Nun, can also mean one who does my commandments and instructions. I shall appoint shepherds for you according to my own heart, and they will care for you with knowledge and wisdom. Now the point about this is, why are we talking about all these matters? It's in order to return to the ways of Yodhe Vavhe, in order to fulfill his preference and his desire. Now the other thing about this is that the word aleph-tav nun is where we get the word for tonic, or to gain strength. It comes, you got aleph-tav nun nun, which means, aleph is a prefix, means I shall give. If Yahweh made a plan and it's aleph, and it finishes at tav, there's the mark, it means to establish a boundary. If you have tav aleph vav hey, it also means desire, wish, passion, appetite, lustful, but also boundary and a limit. So tav aleph has to do with the limit of aleph-tav, the thing that he intended to put forth. I'm showing you a play on the opposite spelling of the word aleph-tav here. But here's the bottom line. Yahweh had a desire. The Creator put everything that he made into existence because he wanted to do something, accomplish something, and relate to his creation. So he sets it in motion, aleph, like yoking up an ox and having it plow this furrow until it gets to the mark at the end of the furrow, which is the tav. Well, everything between the aleph and tav is the Hebrew aleph-bet. Therefore, the meaning of every one of the letters from aleph to bet, gimel, dalet, hey, vav, zayin, het, tet, yod, kaf, lamed, mem, nun, samach, ayin, pei, zadi, kuf, resh, shin, tav. The meaning of all these letters is how he's going to play out his purpose and desire until it reaches the limit and the boundary of all that he set forth to do. Now, that being the case, the Word that was made flesh and dwelt among us, that was Elohim and that was with Elohim, as referenced in John chapter 1, verse 1, this is a bit of a riddle. What would be the Word? it's with Elohim, it is Elohim. All things were made through this word, but then that word became flesh and dwelt among us. I propose that the word is pronounced Abba Gada Havazachati Kalamana Sachafats Karashta. That's the Hebrew aleph-bet, the 22 letters. And that word made flesh is the one we refer to as Yeshua HaMashiach, who himself in the book of Revelation, and speaking to his disciple John, said, I am the aleph and the tav, the first and the last, the beginning and the end, in which case he would say he is the one who fills up the true meaning of every one of these 22 letters. And that being the case, if someone says, oh, the aleph and tav anywhere used in Scripture is referring to Jesus Christ, that's not exactly true. Now, Nehemiah Gordon recently had a post where he was astounded and disturbed by anyone who would say that the aleph and the tav refers to either Yeshua or Jesus Christ. I have to agree with him in the sense that you can't just read the aleph and the tav and say, oh, that refers to Yeshua. But if you know what the 22 letters mean, you realize that everything between the aleph and the tav, which is the Creator's desire to express and accomplish, that's exactly who Yeshua is. He is the heart of the Creator in human form on display. He is the quintessential Israel man walking in the covenant with Yod-Heh-Vav-Heh and said to us, follow me, do as I do, heed my words, accomplish my commandments and my request, which is the expression of my heart. And so each one of us who wants to be in covenant with Yod-Heh-Vav-Heh, the 4 letters of his name, Yod-Heh-Vav-Heh, each one of us should walk as Yahushua walked and do as he did, which is walking out literally what each one of these 22 letters means. So when he says he's the beginning and the end, he is the Word made flesh. He is what every one of these 22 letters in their pure form, their perfect fullness of expression, what every one of these 22 letters is trying to say, the way he designed them from before creation, he is that expression that we can behold in the human form that he came down to walk the earth with. In that sense, you can look at the aleph-tav and say, it doesn't just represent him, it represents everything he said, and everything he meant, and everything he wants us to regard, him being the fullness of the Father's expression.
Good deal, Eric. Awesome. Let's have a quick look at that hat before we close this. That's the way to keep it on your mind, huh?
In the back there, it says, it is written. That's from Michael Rood.
All right, brother. Thanks. Shalom.